If you haven't heard the news in the last few weeks, the game Garry's Mod is going through some major changes and hardships. For the first time in Gmod's almost 2 decades of history, all servers of a certain game mode have been completely shut down and blacklisted. These events will not only apply to Gmod, but will likely also heavily affect Facepunch's upcoming game, Sandbox. Now, if you're not familiar with me or my channel, my name is Shy, and I run a small game development company called Shy Studios, which mostly focuses on creating custom maps for Garry's Mod communities. The main community we do work for is Star by Star Gaming, who ran one of the oldest, largest, and most popular Hogwarts roleplay servers on Garry's Mod. If you've played Hogwarts roleplay on Gmod, then you have probably played on their server. Since I have close connections with SBS, I was able to get quite a lot of inside info into this whole debacle, a lot of which I can't even share yet for legal reasons, but might be able to in the future, so get subscribed if you want to find out more juicy details. So on to what went down. We believe sometime around June 8th, 2022, Facepunch Studios, the company who owns and operates Garry's Mod, received some form of legal request from an intellectual property holder. This request might have possibly come from the UK division of Warner Brothers, who are the rights holders of Harry Potter. And since Facepunch is also a UK-based company, this might have been quite a serious and concerning matter for them. It likely still is quite serious for them, even today as I record this video. Even though these legal requests likely would not hold much strength in court or value for Warner Brothers' time in regards to individual server owners specifically, Facepunch being a large and valuable company, obviously not wanting to deal with a major legal battle, decided to comply with the request by implementing an automatic blacklisting of all servers running the Hogwarts roleplay game mode, which at the time was one of the most popular game modes in all of Garry's Mod. Even non-Hogwarts roleplay servers running maps with names like Hogwarts in them are now automatically blacklisted. When a server gets blacklisted, it makes it so the vast majority of players will not be able to find that server and play on it, since the server is no longer listed in the server browser. This caused some immediate backlash, as many players were furious the game mode just suddenly disappeared with no announcement. This video might even be the first time you're hearing about this whole thing, as the only communication to the Gmod community was a short reply posted by a Garry's Mod developer on the Garry's Mod Discord, and if you've seen my other videos, you know how I feel about that. Rubat, one of the Garry's Mod developers, posted the following in the Garry's Mod Discord group general chat section. "We received a takedown notice from an IP holder, and we're legally obliged to make the mod unavailable. It's out of our control," as well as posting, "I'm not saying anything else until the legal stuff is settled." Even today when this video is being uploaded, there are new Hogwarts RP servers popping up, attempting to capitalize on the situation, and then being immediately banned, many times manually. This has been going on for over 3 weeks straight now. Facepunch might actually have to hire someone to essentially monitor all servers and remove any that do not comply with the new rule. Allowing any server to host content, maps, or game modes that do not comply with whatever action the intellectual property holder requested from Facepunch might actually put Facepunch in a breach of contract position and land them in even more legal trouble. I don't mean for this to become a Ross Scott Dead Game News video, but it might as well actually be that. Every single Hogwarts roleplay server is now gone, and now no one will ever be able to enjoy each server's somewhat unique take on the specific game mode. I say somewhat unique as most servers these days are simply carbon copies of Star by Star Gaming's Hogwarts RP server, usually running modified and bastardized versions of my beautiful maps. Star by Star Gaming is obviously at the center of this entire situation, as they did run the most popular North American server, and one of the oldest servers on Garry's Mod in general. Before the blacklisting, Guy, the owner of Star by Star Gaming, was working round the clock for months straight on a massive update to the Hogwarts roleplay server that would have brought tons of new spells, jobs, and even new game mechanics, but now that Hogwarts RP is banned, a lot of that update had to be scrapped. But instead of shutting down the company when this happened and calling it quits, Guy, the absolute madman, decided he would completely rewrite and restructure over 6 years of work to bring the server back. Not as a Harry Potter roleplay server, but as Star by Star Gaming's own magical universe, now known as the Galaxy of Magic. Thankfully, and quite obviously, Warner Brothers does not own the rights to the concept of witches, wizards, wands, magic, and the fantasy genre in general. Not only did Guy strip the entire server of all Harry Potter related workshop content, but he also went through and made sure that nothing at all owned or could be argued to be owned by Warner Brothers was on the server, going so far as to changing simple things that might even be tangentially Harry Potter sounding, such as all the items used to make magic potions, every job name, every class name, every faction, and every magic spell. Over 6 years of changes and tweaks to make the perfect server needed to be rewritten entirely, as well as new maps set up and new lore created. With help from me and the SBS staff, Guy was able to do this all in a little over 2 weeks, an unprecedented feat of programming and community skill. SBS even had Rubat himself come on the server after the blacklisting to conduct a blacklist appeal process and check to make sure there was no longer any immediately obvious offending content on the server. And while it did seem to get the green light to be unblacklisted, the Facepunch legal department made a decision that any server's IP address blacklisted due to a legal takedown cannot be unblacklisted. This means SBS had to change their server's IP address. Well, almost. The IP is exactly the same, but the port number has changed from 27015 to 27016. That's right. Just 1 digit difference from the old IP address. Even the game tracker player stats have been transferred over. As of this video, the server's been up for a whole week, and the first night of launch, the server was totally full within the first 30 minutes of it opening up. You can play right now by visiting starbystargaming.com/play/Galaxy of Magic, or by finding the Galaxy of Magic game mode in the Garry's Mod server browser. Once this video is posted, the entire Star by Star gaming community, including the forums and Steam group, should now be reopened and everything should be operating as it was before, but with a new theme and unique exclusive lore. Because Star by Star Gaming is very space-themed, the entire new theme of the server is based on astrology and Greek mythology. This actually keeps working out more and more as time goes on, and everything almost rhymes with what it was before. For example, when J.K. Rowling created the names of Harry Potter spells, she took Latin words for what the spell did and modified them slightly. The new spell names on SBS were made in a similar way, but with modified words of Greek origin instead. Many of the special jobs in the server were replaced with their pre-existing Greek counterparts. This theme opens up massive room for future expansion. Nothing, however, is currently set in stone, and Guy is open to virtually any aspect of the new concept changing based on feedback from the community. After all, this is a big and abrupt change into unknown territory. The good news is there is now endless room for SBS to expand and create new and unique experiences that have never been done before. It is an entirely new magical world with unlimited possibilities. The new map we at Shy Studios are developing for SBS is going to be called Starbright University, a fabled magic school constructed by the Greek gods themselves that is known and sought after throughout the entire galaxy. Its design is still currently being finalized, but some of the interior layout, as well as the player boundaries, will mimic the unique and original layout of my previous Hogwarts map, so it feels familiar to most players who have played on and called SBS home. Sadly for now, SBS is forced to use whatever maps are available for use on the workshop, and pretty much none of them perfectly fit the needs for the gameplay of the server. So expect to see various map experimentations until we have a playable early alpha version of Starbright to put on the server. If you're excited for the new map, make sure you donate to SBS so they can pay me and I can afford gasoline. The rest of this video will be mostly speculating and going over some legal stuff relating to SBS, Facepunch, and Garry's Mod as a whole. One interesting thing to note is that we know Warner Brothers have known about Star by Star Gaming and likely all other servers on Gmod for multiple years and seemingly never had a problem with Garry's Mod Hogwarts roleplay until now. We have speculated as to the many possible reasons that Warner Brothers might be cracking down on Hogwarts roleplay so suddenly. The big elephant in the room is their upcoming single-player Harry Potter game, the gameplay of which is allegedly based off of Garry's Mod Hogwarts roleplay in some way. Which, by the way, Star by Star Gaming did not invent, they just perfected it. Some of the developers for this new game, at the very least, know of, and likely have played on the SBS Hogwarts RP server. It is even rumored that various people who have worked on Harry Potter-related things were actually regulars on the SBS Hogwarts RP server for years. There are two other big reasons as to why this may be happening now. Warner Brothers just recently completed a massive merger with another company, putting them in control of over 1/3 of the entire world's media. Maybe this new company, known as Warner Brothers Discovery, is forcing a crackdown on usage of their IP. Another big reason is that, although SBS has been known by Warner Brothers for some time, SBS was recently written about in an article published by Gaming Bible that talked about playing playing Garry's Mod Hogwarts roleplay while you waited for the new Harry Potter game to come out. Warner Brothers may have thought that the time was finally right, and that they might even be able to extract some coin from this whole situation. Since it is very possible that, due to this article, Warner Brothers mistakenly speculated that every single gmod Hogwarts RP server was operated by one group of individuals or a single gaming community, and possibly even assumed it could be SBS themselves overseeing all of the servers and the entire game mode as a whole, which is obviously not true. There were hundreds of servers being operated from dozens of countries around the world, most notably Russia and Turkey. I currently cannot talk about some of the more detailed legal stuff involving SBS that I know about. We also do not know the extent of Facepunch's current legal status or the exact details of the requests they received. However, this may begin a chain reaction that could threaten the existence of Gmod, and maybe even possibly Facepunch, both in their entirety. The reason being that nearly every single Gmod server is hosting some form of copyrighted content, usually making up the majority of all the content on the server. The vast majority of Garry's Mod servers all operate in a similar way. Usually, the servers are owned and operated by a single individual or company. Running a Gmod server is not cheap, especially when dealing with a large player base like Star by Star Gaming has. Many of these servers, including SBS, take donations in order to keep their server running. These donations are just that, donations. Players have absolutely no obligation to ever donate to the server, and most servers are entirely free to play. That is, of course, after you purchase a copy of Garry's Mod. Many servers do offer some in-game perks for donating, such as being given access to special roleplay roles or having tags next to their name in chat, but players are not paying for a copy of a game through the owners of the servers themselves, or for the content/assets used by the server by donating to it. The players of a server have absolutely no right to the content that is on the server. In most cases, the majority of, if not all, of a Gmod server's content is sourced from a public database known as the Gmod Workshop, where you can access and use a large number of add-ons. These add-ons, of course, are all entirely uploaded by other Garry's Mod players, and in nearly all cases, these players do not even have the rights to upload them. Not that it matters, as Facepunch rarely enforces their own workshop rules. The Gmod Workshop is filled with add-ons containing other players' re-uploaded content, models ripped from other games, pornography, and even add-ons that contain malicious code. But it seems Facepunch has taken a mostly hands-off approach to the Workshop, which is somewhat understandable because the Workshop might technically be Valve's problem to deal with, since the content is hosted on Valve's servers after all. Even now, there is an endless number of Harry Potter add-ons on the Garry's Mod Workshop, a large number of which are uploaded and hidden in randomly or discreetly named add-ons. Through a source from a while back, I do know that Warner Brothers is entirely aware of this content on the Garry's Mod Workshop, and has been for quite some time. But Harry Potter is just the tip of the iceberg. The workshop is filled with stuff from everything imaginable. After all, that is what the core basis of Garry's Mod is. Back in my day, to even play Garry's Mod, you needed to have another Source Engine game installed. Most game developers and their associated companies are not too worried about this kind of thing. In fact, many of them have public policies which allow it for the most part, including Microsoft, which means for the foreseeable future you should be able to play Gmod as Master Chief. On the other hand, there's plenty of content on the workshop from companies that are not so friendly with people using their stuff, such as Nintendo, Disney, and of course Warner Brothers. In fact, Rubat himself is the creator of the original Star Wars lightsaber add-on, which is used in some way on pretty much every single Star Wars roleplay server that exists. Star Wars RP is one of, if not the current largest game mode in Garry's Mod. A game mode, specifically, whose content is almost entirely copyrighted material. And as most people know, Star Wars is now owned by Disney. Who's to say that Hogwarts roleplay getting blacklisted from Gmod isn't going to set a precedent that any company can make a request to Facepunch to remove an entire game mode, or even inspire some sweaty Cheeto man / basement boy to send an email to Disney like they did many times in regards to Hogwarts roleplay. All it takes is Disney being aware of Star Wars roleplay and willing to send a single email. This would be catastrophic for Garry's Mod, as a large proportion of the player base is playing on these Star Wars roleplay servers. And things like this could bring an end to all of Garry's Mod as a whole if Facepunch feels like the problems it's causing are threatening the existence of their company. But again, we do not even know what kind of legal matters Facepunch is currently dealing with. but I can speculate on how this situation will change the company's future endeavors. When I first heard, probably over a year ago, that Facepunch's new game, Sandbox, would not be using the Steam Workshop, I immediately knew that Facepunch wanted far more control over what was going on in their game. Using their own servers means Facepunch is now responsible for the distribution and possible monetization of user-generated content. There are some big benefits to this, such as possibly actually letting people create something and have it not be repacked and re-uploaded 1,000 times like in Garry's mod. But a big downside is that when Facepunch goes away, so will everything in the Sandbox file share, making Sandbox a game that will likely suffer a painful death someday. It also means that Sandbox will now more than likely be far more opposed to content ported from other games or franchises. I really like the direction Sandbox is heading in, and if you want to learn more about that game, I suggest you check out my man Gavardos' channel, where he puts out Sandbox news updates every week. If you like this video, make sure you get subscribed. I want to make a lot more videos relating to my previous maps now that no one can play them anymore, but I think I'm going to be working hard on this new map for a while, so there might be a period of old videos being uploaded, or me cleaning out my sick Ring of Elysium kill clips folder, so get hyped for that!